Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art, located in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is April 5th, 2019. And this is our weekly look back at last week's eBay auction results and see how things went. Things went really well, actually. There were some great sales on here last week. Things that were in the newsletter did better than I thought. They went way up, and it was kind of interesting. And we also did earlier this week, many of you have seen it, we did the video. I only mention this in case you missed it. We did the video on Asia Week's price results in New York in mid-March. There was some very interesting results. Some things did absolutely fabulous. Some things didn't sell, including notably a couple of cover lots for some reason. And next week we're planning on doing a video for the auction results for the Sotheby's series that was run in Hong Kong. Overall, it went through the roof, especially the Qianmen Lu stuff and a few other items did exceedingly well. Just fantastic, and we'll talk about those. The other thing I wanted to mention, and some of you are aware of it if you've been to the website over to Bidamount, you've seen this thing pop up. And this refers to a recent partnership that we've established, working in partnership with eBay. And it's the Second Opinion option, which has been added on to, it's already gone live, I think, on all or nearly most of the Asian art listings visible in the U.S. This is only for U.S. buyers currently. It hasn't been expanded out yet. But if you come over to eBay, you're going to see this box here that says Second Opinion. And it's very much like the Preview Assistant program that we started not long ago. And if you click on your link, this is where you're going to find it right here. If you come over to eBay, this is an item that's being sold by a seller in Belgium, for example. But in the U.S., you'll see this appearing right below the PayPal thing, Second Opinion. And if you click on that, it'll bring you over to our site, and you'll see a form quite similar to the Preview Assistant and the ID Assistant forms that we have up. But this is strictly for eBay items. And you fill out the form, put in a link, and we've been able to work out an arrangement where we can do it for $10 for eBay, which is pretty good. It's $2 less than the other item, and the Preview Assistant for other sites. And we'll get back to you and tell you what we think. And this is something they're doing to try and improve the buyer experience and things. It won't solve all the issues that are going on, but we're going to do a video on this next week and sort of go through it a bit more and explain what we're doing exactly. All right, but I'm very glad they're doing it. All right, we'll have sort of a more formal announcement in a few days. All right, this is just for you guys. All right, now let's take a look and see how things did over on eBay last week. It was a good week. And here we have it. You had these big pair of vases. They did very well. Here it is. And these are relief work vases, and then they were enamel decorated. You'll see examples like this from the Kangxi period in particular. These, they look to be 19th-century examples done in that manner with unglazed bases and so forth. But these were quite nice. These were very good, and I think they were relative bargains on eBay. I think that this was a great buy. And they did fine. They brought $2,544, but I don't think that was in any way an overpayment. I think this was a pretty good purchase. Hold on, let's do a little screen adjustment here. There we go. And I think somebody got a really nice pair of vases for a very reasonable price. All right, and then on to this was that nice little overglazed or overlaid red snuff bottle. With the sort of bubbly clear bottle under it. Nice 19th century example if you're a snuff bottle collector. This was a good thing. And it went for $327. This was from a London seller that we keep track of. They get good things. They get good small things always. All right, and then onto this was the Paktong box with the sort of scholarly setting, figures sitting underneath bamboo trees along a river. A beautiful little box, actually. They call this a cartridge case. I'm not quite sure why. Had a copper back, but the case itself on the front was all Paktong. And it did fine. It ended up bringing $1,161, which was right in the range for these. If this had script on it, it probably would have tripled that, but it didn't have any script. But it was a nice box nonetheless. Very nice box. And then on to this. This, I think, was one of the really good bargains of the week. And you may have seen it. Maybe you didn't. It's this nice-looking pair of Quartz Kwan Yin, standing Kwan Yin lamps. And these were fairly good size. They weren't huge. They were about 7 or so inches tall, but very nicely done, okay? And they were done as a pair of lamps on these nice gilt metal bases, all right? And look at this. This was a steal, $202. All right. These are very nice. I think these were extremely reasonably priced. You could set up a nice big pair of lampshades. And it also had these very nice, at the top, these nice pink quartz pebble pendants on top. They're very complete. I think this was an outstanding buy. I won't tell you what a decorator would charge for these, probably $2,000 or $3,000. They're really pretty. And that was a good buy. And then on to this late Ming sort of Swato era charger that went off. It had some wear and so forth on it, but it was a good old example. Looked completely legitimate to me. There's the back of it. Nice looking dish, unglazed on the bottom. And it only went for $192. All right, that was a pretty good deal. It wasn't perfect, but that was a very reasonable price for one of those. Quite reasonable. I kind of thought that would bring maybe $400, $500, $600. All right, and then on to this, we have another one of these Neue Straits dishes that popped up. Now this dish, a similar one sold on here. I think Josh Chamberlain had one a few weeks ago that came up, and here's another one with the calligraphy around the border and the sort of unusual coloration. This is an early one, had a Daoguan mark on it, and it sold for $1,680, which is about what the one I think Josh sold went for too. All right, so that's sort of the range for these, I think. And then on to this. This was that spinach and egg decorated Kangxi bowl. And I thought it would bring $4,500 to $5,000. That was sort of the range I was thinking. And apparently people really liked this bowl. And it might have been because the glaze was so nice. It ended up selling for $6,684. I think when we looked at it last week, it was at around $1,500 or $1,600. Well, it really jumped at the end. Egmont Horn had that, and it was a nice bowl. A lot of times you see these spinach and egg bowls, and they're busted. For some reason, 90% of the ones you see have chipped rims and have had damage to them. I don't know why, but it always seems that way. All right, and then on to this was this nice little sort of Qingbai glazed Yuan Ming period figure. It was actually a ewer. It was rather cool. It had a nice handle on the back of it, and I heard from a few people on the preview assistant thing asked about this. I liked it, and I think I told one fellow if it goes for under $1,000, it's a bargain, and but it'll probably bring more. And it was a nifty thing, and let's see, what did it bring? About $1,334. Which is right in the range. But that was a nice thing, and you don't see these figural forms all that often. In this glaze from that period. You see other things, but not usually human forms, especially as ewers. So I think that was a real interesting buy for someone. And then on to this was that late 18th, early 19th century enamel decorated vase, sort of done in the Kangxi style, but very interesting with the black bird in the center and so forth. Here's a shot of the bottom. It had a Kangxi mark. It wasn't, obviously, it's not Kangxi, but it's an old one. It's legitimate. And it ended up doing fine. It brought $625. And I think this had been up before, and for the buyer didn't pay for it, which is something people do sometimes. They'll, especially from Asia, they'll bid on things, run them up, not pay for it, and then make you relist it, and hopefully they get a better price. I think this is almost exactly what it sold for last time, right about there. So good. And I hope whoever bought it this time will write the check, make the PayPal payment, and take care of the bill. It's terrible when people don't pay their bills. And on to this, the late Ming bowl. This was a nice one. It had I think it had a hairline or two in it, but it was a good old example. Here it is. It's got the typical fritting around the rim and so forth. But nice decoration. I like this. This seller had two of these up. It's got a Tenhua mark on the bottom, and but it's not Tenhua. It's later. It's one Li. But it ended up selling for $308, which I think is a perfectly reasonable buy for one of these. Very reasonable. Okay, sometimes they can bring $400, $500, $600. All right. And then on to these, this Republic period pair of planters. These were very pretty. The seller that had these up actually sent me, I already had seen them, but he sent me an email wanting to make sure I saw them. And we already had them on the list. And these are very nice. These were beautifully done. And they had their under trays, which makes them really desirable for collectors, especially, or for people that want to put some nice plants out in a few weeks now that spring is here. There's a picture of the bottom. All right, these were pretty, and they ended up doing very well. They brought $4,649, and if any of you bought these, put some plants in them, put some bulbs in them this spring, and put them in a nice spot. Enjoy them. All right, I can't stand planters that don't have plants in them. Drives me crazy. All right, and this is a nice pair of Chinese export 18th century open salts. Rather unusual form, based on English silver forms, I think, by the looks of them. And these went, I think, very reasonably. These look pretty rare to me, the form and shape. And they went for $432, and I think somebody got a terrific buy. I think those were very, very nice. The plain salt sometimes from this period can bring that much money. And these had a very interesting form, okay? He thinks they were Kangxi. They might have been, but they might have been a little later. But regardless, they're very nice, regardless. All right, and then on to this, the pair of these Panoya Straits bowls, nice looking pair of bowls. This is a fairly standard type with a white ground, and the way these are done, not particularly rare ones, but nice ones, okay, and they're later 19th century examples, but well done, and one of them had a little restoration, and they went for $640, which isn't bad, okay, they did just fine. But Panoya Straits stuff has a real growing market, it seems. People are just after it. There's a few good books coming out on them. A friend of mine in Malaysia was kind enough to send me a beautiful compendium of things on Panoya Straits art of all kinds, and I've really enjoyed it. Now on to this, the rose mandarin vase with the gilded lion mask handles. I like this a lot. This was a very pretty vase, and apparently a lot of people liked it. It ended up selling for $2,681. All right, but that was a nice example, good color, in good condition, and not a lot of wear to the gilt. And that's what we talked about that last week, that the gilt and everything was still in place, and that kind of lack of wear really drives prices on these. All right, and the same for this one. This seller had sold this vase before, and apparently the buyer, again, didn't pay his bill. Why, I don't know. This was a nice vase, and an authentic one, and very unusual. I had talked about it the first time. They were very unusual blue ground lion's heads on the shoulders. You don't see that very often, and there were 4 of them. Here's a picture of the bottom. Had a faint line in the bottom, but nothing too deleterious. And this ended up selling for $3,270, which I think is in the ballpark of what it brought last time. Might be a little less, but that's a wonderful vase. It's a nice vase with unusual colors. All right, and then on to this. This is one of the things that I was completely wrong on in the price. I thought it would bring $1,500, $2,000, unless the people bidding on it didn't bother to check the size. I don't know why this brought what it did. It was nicely done. It did have calligraphy on it and so forth, and it did look to be pretty original. But it was fairly small. It was around 3 feet tall. This was not a floor screen. This was a table screen. And they turn up in the last year or two. If you've been following these videos, we've seen them sell for $1,500 to $2,500. Well, this one brought $5,111. All right, and that's quite a price for one of these, I think. But we'll see. We'll see if it reappears. See if they weren't fooling around over there in Asia trying to run up the prices or something and not pay their bill. I hope they do pay it. And good. I'm good on this seller. I don't know who the seller is. He's a very new seller, and that was a heck of a nice price. All right, but we'll see in the future. All right, and now on to some things that are closing. I think these. No. Hold on. We want to get into the things that are ending. Let's move that over. All right, this was a pretty good week for silver. There was some good silver on eBay this week. This is one of them. A nice marked. This is a big bowl. This is a good sized bowl. This thing was about 8 or 9 inches wide, and it was fully articulated, reticulated rather, on the inside. It was all carved out, beautifully done. Here's the interior of it. Nice piece of Chinese silver. Chinese silver it can be absolutely great stuff, and if you've ever thought about collecting it, it's a good thing to collect. All right, this ended up selling for $1,072, which is I think perfectly reasonable for a nice 19th century late Qing piece of silver, and it was 19 centimeters wide. So it was about so that's about 7 inches wide, but a nice bowl, really nice bowl. I love that. And onto this was, I think, a steal, was this bamboo decorated signed mug with bamboo handle, and had an empty monogram plaque. It had never been monogrammed. And that's not unusual. You do see these, and people would get them and just never bother getting them monogrammed in the late 19th century for some reason. They just never got it down to the silversmith. But they had very good groundwork. If you look at the groundwork here and how they did the relief and polished it out, this was a very well-made mug. Nice example. And look at this. It went for $821. I think that was a great buy. I think that was a really nice buy for a silver collector. It was a good example. Very, very attractive. And then onto this was that double spout cruet Kangxi period. This was our friend Tony over Scrap Dixon over in France. Picked this up, had it on his site. He had that wonderful big bronze last week that brought $24,000 of the lanterns, with the man holding the lantern holders, the oil holders. He had this up. This was a nice example of Kangxi with butterflies and flowers and so forth. And it did fine. It sold for $1,048, which is right in the range. I think that we might have even talked about it. But it was a good-looking thing. Nice-looking object. Alrighty. And now let's take a look at a couple of things that are closing over the weekend. There's going to be some good things on this weekend. One of them is this nice Kangxi jar. This is a good-looking jar with precious objects. It's got goo-form vases and incense burners and stacks of books and all that business on it. Nice-looking thing, sort of scholarly. This ends tomorrow. All right, and it's only up to $318. Should triple that easily by the end of the day tomorrow. It's a nice-looking thing, though. And then onto this was this was sort of odd, a very strange thing. 19th century square cup, all right, with Famille rose enamels all over it and gilt edges. This is a pretty unusual thing. All right, that's sort of a rare form. It is 19th century from what I can see. Looks fine, but just a rare form. If you're a cup collector, this is a good thing to maybe look at and go after. And it has that faubourg bottom, that looks like wood done onto it, which is quite nice. All right, sometimes you see whole pieces of porcelain done that way, simulating wood. This closes on Monday. It's up to $880 because it is a rare thing, but let's see how much further that goes. Nice looking thing. And there it is again. And this nice Jiajing period, probably a Famille Rose bowl. Good looking thing. It's got a couple of days to go. Closes on Monday. And this very nice Tongxi Marken period hat stand, Famille Rose decorated, obviously. And here's a picture of the bottom. Nice looking example. Later 19th century, that's for sure. And this lotus pattern Qin Lung period dish. Looks, I'm not sure. Check the condition on that. It might have a little repair on that upper tip, that leaf. Maybe not. Might be the light. I don't want to say anything unless I look. And this planter we came across this week. This is a seller, China Teak, over in he's in Belgium, and he's been getting more and more nice things on here. Here's a shot of some of the stuff that he has. It all looks legitimate and looks nice. And this is a good looking planter, very nice quality. First half of the 19th century, good looking thing. So as he says, it's rare. It is rare. And this Neue Straits a teapot with turquoise ground and that nice raspberry highlighting areas that they enameled over with the phoenix and the flowers and so forth. And then there's this big jar. This is not a Kangxi jar. Somebody asked me if this was Kangxi. It's not Kangxi. All right, it is fairly obviously late 19th century by that foot. It's got that little step on the inside of the edge there, and the way that foot is shaped. And then of course the decoration is very good, but it's not as good as Kangxi. But boy, it's a nice looking jar. It's a good-looking jar. And this closes on Sunday. It's up to $157. How big is this? I want to check quick. 15 inches. That's a big pot. That's a nice big jar. If you're looking for something good and you're ready to spend probably $1,500 to $2,500, this is a good thing to maybe try and go after. It may go over that. These things have been doing very well lately if they're good quality. All right, we'll see. If it goes for under $1,500, it's a steal. All right, and that's it for the week so far. And there's some other good things coming along. We came across a nice bronze that'll be going up this weekend. It'll be on the site, on the newsletter page, and a nice Scholar's Rock. Probably was collected in the 19th century. It has an early 20th century. It looks like stand tied to it, but a nice big Scholar's Rock, very sculptural, and some other things. So check them out. All right, and as I said, we'll be doing a couple of videos next week on what's been going on around here and how things did over in Hong Kong. And thanks so much. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. I love some of the comments you guys have been leaving. Hysterical. And keep your eye out for us on eBay for our logo. And if you need a hand with something, let us know, and we'll talk more about that next week and what it will, how it's going and what we're doing. All right. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone, and hope you find something out there you love this weekend and bring it home and enjoy it. Okay. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.